meeting to order at 4 p.m. First, our business today is to review the budget, and the chief will go with that.
Okay, so we're here to do a work session on the 2023 budget, and hopefully this is going to share. So everybody, please let me know if it doesn't. Can you guys see the budget?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everybody's good on the budget? Okay, give me a second. I gotta switch to another. Okay, did that turn over to the WCFD 5 2023 levy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, please let me know and keep me on track here. You guys can't see it, so that's the problem with the split screen right now. Let me see if I can get it over to different screen.
It was halfway over. There we go.
Okay.
Did that go off your screen now? Or do you guys still have the share?
We still have the share online.
Okay, so you can see the WCFD 5 2023 budget.
Oh, it says 2023 levy at the top.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. Okay, so we're there. Okay, so I'm having to shift screens. People online can see it. Yeah, but the people online can't see that at this point. They're not seeing the commissioners right now. Okay, so this is our preliminary 2023 levy proposal for Fire District 5. So to explain this on a yearly basis, we do this in November. And what we explain with this particular sheet is that we get to take a 20 or 1%. Let's see if I can adjust that. So we can take a 1% by Washington Administrative Code by WAC. We're allowed to increase our previous year's levy by 1%. That's all we can do by law. So prior to this act going in place, which was a number of years ago, special taxing districts may be able to increase by 5% or 10%. They could pretty much vote on the percentage that they wanted to increase it by. Well, a law or a proposal came into effect that was made administrative code or law in Washington that reduced that down to special taxing districts like fire districts to a 1%. This year, the 1% doesn't come out to a 1%. It comes out to a 0.94702%. That equates to an amount of about $6,009.69. Now, Patty, if I say anything wrong, please step in.
Okay.
The 2022 levy, the actual levy, because at the time it was 631,000, I believe, is what we started out with 2022, but we estimate new construction of around 3,000. So when Patty got the final numbers, our actual levy for 2022 was $634,589.47. Now we take the actual levy that we had in 2022, we add the 6,000, the 1% increase to that, and we get a total of $640,599.16. So that is our starting point of our budget for 2023, the 640,000. So what happens is we add in hospital district rent. I'll show you that on the main budget. Hospital district rent percentage or investment. What do you call that? Investment interest. Investment or interest on our investments. Burn permits we average out as well, and a couple other things in there that I'll show you on the regular budget. But that total is $27,300. So we add those together. Projected funding for 2023 is $667,899.16. Less the budget. So we came very, very close to be a zero-sum budget this year. We just actually in the last hour and a half adjusted a couple things. Chief Shields was looking at the budget, and we were able to reduce one line item that I'll go over with you, which allowed us to have $1,000 in reserve capacity if I spent the entire budget. This is our lowest year. The cost of things are going up. The projection of costs of things are going to go up in the coming years, next 3 to 5 years probably. And that means everything else for us, our vehicles, our gear, everything that we purchase, medical supplies, is hit by inflation. So we adjusted a number of our line item divisional budget areas, and I'll go over that with you specifically. So our projected budget for 2023 is $666,821, leaves us $78.16 to go into reserve capacity if I utilized every dollar of the $666,000. Okay, so do any of my commissioners have a question on what's in front of you today on the projections? Everybody's good? Patty, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Okay. Linda, you have any questions?
Well, I thought I heard you say that the projected budget was the 666 number, when in fact it looks like it's the 667, 899, 16.
Well, my divisional budget is 666,000. So the actual projected 2023 budget that I can work on is 667,000.
Got it. Yeah,
But
thank you.
My divisions and my line items come to 666,000. So that leaves us $1,000 left to put into capital reserve.
I understand now. Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, on the taxes, the uncollected taxes, do we have any idea how much?
We don't project that.
I just.
Yeah, Patty, what's our average for uncollected taxes on a yearly basis? Do you have that?
Oh, let me see where we're at right now. Give me just a moment here.
That's just like ambulance transports. I don't average out.
So right now, we currently have $49,034 of uncollected previous year's taxes. So, but right now, that is as of September 30th, but October, we are receiving revenue. So it can average anywhere from, you know, usually as low as 10,000 on up.
Thank you.
That will, and just to explain that to the general public, the uncollected taxes is something that we continue to try to collect, and we get in sporadically throughout the year. Is that correct?
That is correct. Usually, yeah, small chunks, but it's fairly consistent, but sometimes only in a couple $100 increments.
So right now we have around $50,000 of uncollected taxes for the district, right? That ends up hurting our bottom line, you know, and our ability to put that into reserve capacity. But for whatever reason, sometimes, you know, people have difficulties paying their property taxes and everything, and hopefully we'll be able to regain most of that. And then that's not projected. That's at the end of the year. That'll be a finalized number with the county. And then obviously that will go into reserve capacity. Okay, whatever we get back off of uncollected taxes. So, yes, sir.
Question for Patty. She mentioned the uncollected taxes goes back several years.
Yeah, how far does that go back, Patty, for uncollected taxes?
Oh, what, about 4 years. It's broken down in 4 line items. Let me grab my report here real quick. It's kind of nice. Every month I get reports from the county and they give the actual breakdown of revenue that is received, meaning taxes that are received for the current year, 2022, 21, 20. And then there have been some this year that have been for 2019 and even $30 from 2018.
So going back all the way to 2018, you still have uncollected taxes.
Right, but on the list that they give me, it goes all the way down to 2002. But we don't go out more than 4 years generally when they collect. It's usually the last 4 years of uncollected taxes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? No? Okay. All right, we'll move into the budget comparison between 2022 and 2023. Please let me know that you guys can see that change.
Yes.
Linda? Okay. So to go through this with you, the purple area is this year's budget, 2022. The changes are next to that in the 2023 budget. And the differences, plus or minus, are going to be in the last column. And we'll go through those as we get to them. Okay. So 2022 year budget, we discussed that. It was 600 and the actual budget ended up being 634,000. I believe we had 631,000 in the beginning of that. So we were about just over $3,000 difference by the time all of that came into the county with new construction and stuff. And then 2023, our base budget that we had that I just went over with the projections of the 634,000, adding the 0.9% to that, gets us another $6,000. So in 2023, our starting budget will be 640,599.16. Hospital rent is going to be 17,500 plus or minus a few. I don't think that's exact. Is that exact, Patty, or is that?
No, that's just estimated because it will likely increase next year, but I did not account for that just because the board had not discussed that at this point.
So, okay. But between 2022 and 2023, we raised it another 1,500.
Oh, yes, yes. Per that increase, yes.
For the space. So that's pretty much, speaking to Patty on that, that's pretty much projected what it's going to be with the average percentage of the increase. The $300 is fire service contract fees. That's Parks and Rec for protecting Parks and Rec land. So all the land that is Parks and Rec, we get $300 to protect that. $4,500 interest on investments. We'll see what happens there because that's a rough area right now. And if we go into a recession, that line item could be hit pretty hard. Burn permit sales, we increased that by 2,000 because we normally average more than $3,000 for burn permits. And so we have an additional 27,300, and you add that all together and you get the line item budget of $667,899.16. So that's what we project to be my entire budget for 2023. Now we go into division areas. So Commissioner Katz, I believe this is probably one of your first times working on the budget with our group. So we have a legislative division. All of those line items are within that division. That's where I spend the funds. We have special meetings, Whatcom Washington Fire Commissioners Association, the FICA Medical for Legislative Commissioners. We actually have to pay that on the commissioners. Secretary, FICA Medical Secretary, Audit, Legal, Advertising, Insurance, Professional Dues, and Election Charges. So when you guys go out for your election, you actually have to pay the county for them putting you on the ballots and everything like that for election purposes. Now, one of the biggest changes here is an audit. So we project that we're going to be audited again in 2023. And the state will come in, and the state charges us to come in and audit us. And that cost may be high or low, but we put in an audit amount that has averaged to the other years around $10,000. Okay, so what happens? What cycle are we currently on, Patty, for audit? 3 years?
We are currently on, yes, it is a 3-year. It will be 2020, 21, and 22 audited in 23.
So what happens is during those audits, all of the paperwork that is required for those audits, they'll audit a certain area of our agency. They don't audit every single area of our agency. They'll pick some. And then we have to turn over all the paperwork that they're requesting, all the documents, anything that's been scanned in. All of that goes to the state. They review it, and then they give us a report back and any recommendations that they may have. So we'll be going through that. That's a big ordeal when we have to go through audits. So we have that adjustment. We have a little couple of dollars here and there of adjustments. In other line items, the insurance, we're projecting it to increase another 3% at least in 2023. This comes in at the end of the year. So we normally see those big budget impacts in October, November, December, when we start paying out some final projects for the year. That's an increase of $8,000 is what we project for our district insurance coverage. Moving on to the administrative division. My salary is looking at $68,495. We increased Chief's Shield salary by 3% to $41,200. Finance manager, Patty stayed the same on that. We have changes in our FICA medical for all of our employees. Finance manager, FICA medical, department L&I. If you have any questions on any of this, let me know. Just so you can see the changes over here. So negative 2,000 is that we deducted, right? So it was 10,000 in 2022. We took out 2,000. So that's why it's negative. Anything that doesn't have a negative is we added to that line item. So if you have any questions as we go through this, let me know. Every area that we can think of that we spend money on is a line item. And there's still some that are outliers that we're adding or subtracting on a yearly basis. We try to clean it up yearly as well. So we keep moving forwards. Any questions on any of the divisions or anything like that that we currently have? No, emergency networking is emergency reporting. No, yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's the replacement for ER. Yes. So next year we have to move into a new reporting system that is for our fire reporting system and our medical reports and PCRs and reporting that we do to the state and to the federal areas. Emergency reporting got bought out by ESO. ESO has not developed a payroll module that we currently use in emergency reporting. And so we're moving to a company called Emergency Networking, which is almost identical to what we currently are using. And it'll be a small transition for our people. The platform, it has the payroll. It has a payroll section that is almost identical to what we're using now as well. And kind of funny how it happened is that employees that left emergency reporting after their non-compete clauses came to pass, they created a business called Emergency Networking. Capitalism, right? But it's a true benefit for us that we found this organization because there was no good option with Image Trend, which is what the county is using currently. I am the only district in the county that is not using Image Trend as a reporting platform because it specifically does not have that payroll option that is workable for us. And emergency reporting was that. We were like number 67 We were like the 67th member of emergency reporting when it was established way back when. So what chief do you think started that? It was a while back. It was early 2000s that we were using it. And the other reason why we were using ER, emergency reporting, is because they're actually headquartered in Bellingham. So I could drive down to Bellingham and walk into the office if I had any questions or anything like that. But it's changing over to emergency networking at this point. So the communication tower, this stuff here, the communication tower, volunteer, FARS radio system. FARS, again, FARS doesn't do too much to us. It's the county radio system. Their cost is going up this year. They charge us for maintenance on all the other sites that we don't use, because we have our own radio site here that back in 2014, I believe, we put in over $70,000 of capital reserves on to have our Fire 1 and Fire 2 channels specifically on Whidbey's tower. Their communication contract, we pay Whidbey to have our stuff up on their tower. So that's I'll bring something up about a interlocal agreement that I'm going in on the sheriff's department with. And there's going to be a cost, a capital facilities cost to do that, but they're going to allow us in on our on their backhaul starting here next year, which is a much more robust system than we currently have. So so that's communication tower, just basic stuff. As you can see, Chief 58 repair and maintenance, that you used to say Tahoe, but now I've designated it as Chief 58. You have Brush 58, which is the red pickup truck out there, just so you guys understand what vehicles are being discussed there. Any questions on the administrative division by anybody? So over last year, it's an increase to that division of $4,400. So suppression division. Suppression division, we're averaging around $75,000 for our firefighters in stipends paid out throughout the year. So our volunteers all get stipends for going on calls, coming to trainings, doing weekend duty, those types of things. Following firefighter retirement disability, that is BVFF, Board of Volunteer Firefighters, and we pay a disability fee of $30 for all of our firefighters. So if one of our volunteers gets hurt, BVFF pays their medical bills for them. And it's $30 per member, and it averages out. I usually carry a balance with BVFF, so I normally don't use the full 2,500, but their costs could be going up as well. Wellness program, so all the physicals we have. I also offer our volunteers that don't have insurance per se, that usually the Canadians will get all of their medical exams done in Canada utilizing their system. But if I have a US person that doesn't have insurance that wouldn't cover, let's say, blood draws for the year, then we'll pay for that, for them to have their yearly labs done as a volunteer member of this agency. COVID testing, we reduced that by 10 grand. That's one of the areas that saved the budget this year to where it wasn't a huge deficit in the budget. But since we are on the tail end of that, I still left 10,000 in that for our vaccination events that we'll probably be carrying on in 2023. Our COVID testing, which most likely will be carrying on in 2023. And any supplies that are related to that. So I think my idea is to not charge like the masks and the gowns and everything else to my medical line item for EMS, and to charge that specifically to the COVID line item, since those are realistically COVID supplies that we're purchasing. Marketplace, we increase that because of the cost of food and stuff for supplies needed. Firefighter accountability, name tags, those types of things. It's a PAR system, so personal accountability, equipment and supplies. You guys can read it for yourselves. Fuel, we increased by $1,000. Everybody knows where fuel's going. We get a couple, we might get some relief, but it seems to always go back up. And diesel is more expensive than regular gas at this point, which is kind of it shouldn't be that way. Yeah, it's supply and demand. And so we've increased that. Hopefully that line item will hold throughout next year. We'll see where that goes. SCBA, we have our SCBAs maintained every year as well. Pagers, radios. Again, just so you know, I'll be going out for those grants. So my radio grant and also an ambulance grant coming up. So engine 5803, that is the small engine over there. Engine 5802 is the larger engine over there. Utility 58 just came back. That is our Scooby-Doo. Engine 58 is the new engine here. So you guys know what engines they have. Hydrant maintenance, we discussed that this morning. We're actually required, the water district does all the internal parts, but we actually maintain the outside. We clear the hydrants on a yearly basis, all of that type of stuff. So we'll be more specific this year to make sure that when we purchase fuel for those types of things, that's going into the hydrants maintenance, because not a lot of stuff goes into that line item usually, but we're going to be more specific coming up in 2023. Any type of paint that we buy, anything like that as well. So the washer and dryer, yearly we get our washer serviced and everything. And the guy, where's he come up from? He comes up from Seattle all the way here to get our extractor serviced, because we have a big washing machine here. It's an industrial washing machine, very specific to bunker gear, so firefighter gear. It's called an extractor, and it's designed to get all the contaminants, carcinogens and stuff like that out of our bunker gear after a fire. So we utilize that in here. The SERP program is actually the Specialized Emergency Response Program, which is basically our hazmat response in this county. Every fire district pays a fee to that. We have a big semi trailer down in Bellingham that is full of hazardous materials supplies and different things down there. So if we have a huge event, that semi would be taken out and set up, and we have a pretty good capability with hazardous materials here if necessary. Now, whether or not that semi would ever make it here, if we had a big event here in Point Roberts, I don't think it's ever been tried. But if we request it, they'll bring it. They'll bring it. Any questions about that division? So suppression division. Again, the changes in amounts over here. So really one of the only things that was deducted was the 10 grand from a line item. And we were able to put that back into other areas in the budget. Suppression training division, so operational supplies, books and publications for my firefighters. Any classes that we put on here when I send firefighters to fire school, bringing in outside instructors, anything like that. Live fire training, as we do that down at Station 12 in Bellingham, and costs are going up for our pallets because we have to have pallets to burn when we do live fire training, and it's Class A training. So every year, I require every single one of my firefighters to do a live burn, at least one every year. If you guys ever want to be involved in that, let me know. We can bunk you out and keep you in a safe area, but let you feel some heat if you ever want to do that. Professional Recruit Academy, that's sending people down to Texas. It's $4,000 a person. So that would only send 2 people to fire school next year. If I wanted to train some people. Now, all the Canadians come with their fire training. So the public needs to understand that the average cost over there is $16,000 to $20,000 that these firefighters are paying on their own before we even hire them here within this agency. So what we do is we improve their skill sets, their knowledge, their training here. And yes, the majority of them, we help them get career jobs in the Lower Mainland. So we are somewhat of a farm team, but they're highly credentialed. They just need to get experience. And they do that within this agency, and they give a tremendous amount. You guys, between 2,500 and 3,000 hours a month is what our volunteers are giving to this community as a group. And they do a tremendous amount of work. So without them, our demographics don't allow us to have volunteers from the community. So we extremely rely on and appreciate the young men and women that are coming across the border. And we truly appreciate Customs allowing them to do so, to come and volunteer for nominal stipends within this community as well. So that's something that's really big, because if I have a US person, so I have an American come through the doors and they want to go to fire school, then I could only send 2 of them on a yearly basis. Now, if I overrun this budget, right, in this division line, and I'm low on another division, now I can take that out. I can overrun that line item if I'm okay in other divisions. Does that make sense? So I have the entire budget to use. So let's say all of a sudden I have 4 people, 40-year-olds, from this community that come into my office and say, we want to go to fire school and we want to be volunteers here. Well, I only have enough money for 2 of them, right, to send to Texas. And that's where it's an online school. That's why I send them to Texas, because the academy here, they'd have to go back and forth, and that doesn't work with family and everything else. The online academies, they have to find time to go to Texas for 2 weeks and get their skill sets checked off, take their international testing and pass everything, and then come back certified. But if I need another $8,000, and let's say it's later in the year and I know I have a strong other division, then I can overrun that line item, okay, and still be okay in my overall budget approach on that. So realistically, my entire budget's used as a conglomerate, but my divisions, I try to track everything in my divisions, my line items, but sometimes I need to grab from another division to support a division that may be overrun. At that point, that is a necessity. Travel Blue Card command system. Is this what you see up on the wall? Blue Card is an international command function system that we utilize here, because it's the only system in internationally that I know of at this point that provides ongoing continuing education. So what does that mean? Strategic level command officers, that would be myself, Chief Shields, and my captains. How do we oversee, how do we set up an incident? So on a structure fire, how do we assign our people? How do we utilize the units and resources that we have on scene? How do we call in additional resources? So when we have a structure fire, and let's say it happens now, well, obviously we don't have personnel here to handle a working structure fire. So I'm going to have to call in mutual aid from North Whatcom. So Blaine, they would send a fire truck. And then if the growth factor is large when we show up on this, then I would be requesting Delta Fire Rescue to send an engine as well. But Delta Fire, they'll send an engine. That's mostly not going to be charged to us, but if I utilize their ladder, I'm looking at a bill of $4,000 to $5,000 that they'll bill us for.
Has that happened
Mm-hmm.
in the past?
Yeah, so we had the Gulf Road fire, which were the storage units, that storage building off of Gulf. When was that? A number of years ago. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the Gulf Road fire. And we called and we dispatched them, but we canceled them. So once we pull that trigger and we say we want an aerial, right? So that's the big trucks that have the ladders and stuff that go up in the air. Once we say that, they pull the trigger and they hire back immediately. So we paid for their hire back, even though we canceled them within probably 10 minutes. They had already pushed that button, made the pages, and made that out. Now, Nielsen's actually paid that bill for us. So they were the ones that I approached them and I said, this is a bill for the usage of these resources and their insurance, and they were reimbursed from their insurance as far as I know. Insurance companies, that's in the fine print. They don't like paying out for those types of things, or for the fire service, for resources, but it's in most insurance contracts that that is an available reimbursement. Even homeowners contracts, right, is a reimbursement sometimes for extenuating circumstances for the fire departments that protect them. Yeah. So the Blue Card command system, I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of our agency. I'm the only person in Whatcom County at this point that's utilizing that system. But there's 37 fire departments and districts along the Puget Sound area that are utilizing it. It's acknowledged by NIOSH, which is the National Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, and Underwriter Laboratories. And it's also acknowledged there. It's American College of Education, so it's ACE accredited. So the courses, we can get college credit by taking Blue Card command courses and being certified in that. And I think we'll be going to this as a county, but there's so much pushback at
Why?
this point. Number one, it's coming in from Phoenix,
Oh,
and people don't like the word Phoenix. And Brunacini's, which Alan Brunacini died in 2017, I believe. And he basically was the father of our current incident command system in the fire industry worldwide. His books are the leading books that are used around the world for fire command. And he developed the Blue Card command system and implemented it in Phoenix. It's ego, and I'm sorry to say that as a fire industry, it's ego. We always think we're doing things better than the next person, right? Or that we have it together. And usually we find out that we don't have it together when we have a mayday, when we have a firefighter go down, fall through a floor, have a collapse inside of a structure, something that a firefighter becomes unable to exit the structure safely, and they need a rescue team to go get them. And then we find out that the system we thought would work doesn't. And that's what the Blue Card system provides us, is a complete system that allows us to train for those events before they happen. Yeah, and we have Blue Card days here. If you guys ever want to sit, I think you've sat in on some Blue Card training. You might have sat on some Blue Card training too, Commissioner Katz, if you want to sit in. I can let you know when our next training is so you can see how it works and stuff. But there's a complete educational, professional development area of the fire service industry that relies on incident command capability and validation, right? And one thing we don't do a good job of is validating our capabilities at the strategic level, meaning the chief level of being able to oversee or run an incident scene. We spend money on everything else, on every other platform you can think of, right? But we don't spend money on a platform that gives us validation for our command officers. The 5th of December. November is probably not going to go, so it'll be December 3rd. So December 3rd is our next Blue Card training. Okay. And there's a nice person that usually gives me or provides a grant from the foundation on a yearly basis to pay for that training, to help us train more people up. This covers my yearly costs to be part of that program, because I have to pay for each person that's certified. I have to pay to be a certified training center here in Point Roberts. We've worked interoperability with North Vancouver Fire Rescue. So North Van has sent their officers here to train with us. Delta will not. Delta is our primary mutual aid company, and they won't come here and train with us. But North Van is also a Blue Card agency in the Lower Mainland, and they've come here for lectures and things that I've hosted here for Blue Card. And it's very nice to have that working relationship. So moving on to the maintenance division, we have a $2,300 increase in the maintenance division. Electric, we kept the same. We're right on the edge of electric usage. Obviously, come wintertime, that's when our bills go into the $1,700. We're looking at, I think they project like a 20% increase in electricity cost for 2023. So we might be a little low on that, but we have $31,000 in that division to use up. Garbage, we kept the same. I don't know if the garbage cost is going to be going up next year, but every year we have our garage doors maintained. So we make sure that they're in the best usable condition. So they go up when we need them to go up, and they come back down if my people stop running into them, because we've had a number of garage doors taken out, even with backers. How that happens, I don't know, but we're working on that a little bit more heavy. EMS division, we have a $2,500 increase there. The majority of that came in medical supplies and equipment. So all of my drugs, everything that we use for medical emergency response. And I had to increase that because of the cost of all of our medications are going up now too. So 858 is the red ambulance, 85802 is the white ambulance. Now CP 58 is a new line item, and that's our community paramedic rig. If I'm successful at getting a new command rig myself, then my current rig will become the community paramedic rig. So that's why we added that line in there in case that gets implemented in 2023. Battalion 58 is Chief Shields car. ATV, we actually have the four-wheeler out here. You guys know that. Every other year, we try to take it down to get the oil changed and the spark plugs changed and everything else to make sure that it's ready to go if we need to go out into the forest on a trail or anything like that to pick somebody off up out there. DFib maintenance contracts. Every year Stryker comes out, Medtronic, now they're Stryker, but they send up a tech, and every AED that we have in the community, all the ones we have in public access, the ones at the grocery store, all of those are brought in at once and they maintain them. So they go through them, they change out the batteries, they give us new combo pads, which are the pads that go in the chest. They update any software that needs to be changed in those machines, and they make sure that the AED is ready to go if it needs to be used. So AEDs for the public is an automatic external defibrillator. Those are the machines that we utilize to shock somebody that's in cardiac arrest. But we have to maintain those on a yearly basis. So everything pretty much we maintain on a yearly basis, including the big fire trucks. EMS training division. Again, any medical courses that are taught here, any books that are needed. EMT training. So EMT training is something that I normally have 4 or 5 people a year that I'll send to Idaho, and it's an online training program as well, so they can do all their didactic at home, and then they have to go to Idaho as an advanced EMT. The EMTs can check off here now because of COVID. That's something that changed, but our advanced EMTs have to travel to Idaho, and I need to rent them a car. I need to rent them a hotel room for a week and everything else so they can go get their national registry checkoffs done. But it's an average cost of around $2,000 per person to be able to send there. EMS Connect is our online continuing education platform that is assigned to us by the county. And every member, I have to pay a certain amount for all of our EMTs to be able to have access to it and do our monthly education components that we are required to do. EMS conferences. If we ever go nationally or locally, that's for travel purposes and for registration too. So does anybody have any questions about any division that I currently covered in this prelim?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
In the event the structural fire gets into the wood and fire.
Yep.
Is there a chance for somebody across the border or wherever it's going to come from that can support?
So our primary is DNR, Department of Natural Resources. So we would make the call to prospect. We would request DNR response, depending on other fires in the area or the county and stuff. They may be able to send a rig, up here, depending on. Now, last year or the year before, we purchased a skid unit for our brush truck, which has been incredibly accepted by our members because of the ability that it provides us in a quick response to drive around a ground wildland fire, right? To drive the fingers and to put it out very, very quickly. It's something we didn't have until we bought that skid. And it's 250 gallons, I believe. It's 300 gallons, has a foam tank on it, or we put wet water in it. We put wet water in it. So what does that mean? We have water in the tank and then we add foam to it. So we make it foamy, like Dawn soap, basically. And then when it comes out of our hose, that's a thicker surface component, and it's able to bleed off of, so it stays on, correct, right? So it puts a blanket over the ground versus just plain water. But that has given us a lot more ability to attack a ground fire a lot quicker. We have 150 feet, 100 on that. Yeah, we had a fire out Seabright. I don't know if you guys saw that in the newspaper, but we had a south circle of Seabright, the south loop. We had a fire off of that, and it was, what was it, 50 by 100? Yeah, so it was a larger area, but it was a slow mover. So we were able to attack it and put it out with the truck and drive out into, you know, the grass area with that pickup truck and do a really good job. So if we have a deep seated one, like we're a quarter mile back on a trail system, we have backpacks that we can put on that are 5 gallon. You know, there's another name for them, but I won't utilize it. That's utilized in the wildlands arena. But they're backpacks. They hold about 5 gallons apiece. We would hopefully be able to get our ATV back there because they are very heavy. You're looking at what, 8 pounds per gallon. So about you have, you know, 40 gallons, you know, water sitting on your back, plus your gear and everything else that you're trying to carry back. The danger that we have here is if it gets into the trees, if it gets into the crown fuels. If it stays on the ground, we have a good opportunity to get to it and put it out. But if it's wind blowing, right, if it's wind driven, or it gets into the crown fuels, which is high in the trees, we're going to have a big problem. So DNR, they have helicopters available as well. I don't know where they would be coming out of. They change positions throughout the summer, depending on where the hot spots are. We do have access to potentially some wildlands aircraft from Boundary Bay, or is it Abbotsford too? Abbotsford Airport. We do have an ability to access, you know, if it's starting to move towards Canada and it's in the crown fuels, then we can make that call and Delta can get involved and maybe make the request. And then they would be crossing an international border to drop water. So it wouldn't extend into the Delta region at that point. Now, Delta has a very large wildland rig. They have a Type 6, I believe. And it's very large. It's 4-wheel drive that they can bring over as well, as long as they're not using it. I have no idea what that cost would be to us. Right. And it all depends when it happens with personnel availability too.
Is there any opportunity for the two entities to drill together, to train together, to get to know each other?
No. The reason why is because they're IFF, they're career firefighters, part of the International Association of Firefighters. And they are a very strict union and they do not train with volunteers. They consider that we're taking career jobs. So that's why they won't train with the volunteers directly. They'll come and sit in a classroom, right? If I offer a course here, they may come and get professional development. But to go out and train together, no, they don't do that. Yeah, we've asked for years. And I have a good relationship with Delta Fire Rescue and with their current fire chief as well. And it's just, it becomes a political issue. Political issue for them.
Any thought about pre-season sign up on certain equipment? The Forest Service signs up cats and excavators.
Yeah, no, we don't have that here. We have no predetermination of resources that we would need. Plus, for them to keep an amount of resources, a cat or something like that, just for Point Roberts, just in case when they need it on the south side or the east side of the mountains. I doubt that would be something that would be sustainable for them to do. So here we would start making phone calls to the people that we know that have excavators, and hopefully that we could get a hold of one or two of them, and they could. In time, it's going to take time for them to load it up unless it's already on the trailer, but to bring it to where we need it and to maybe help us make a berm of sorts or to drive the, finger and help us put out, ground fire.
Sort stuff out, you get to seeing some burn piles that are 15 feet high. Right in the tree.
Yeah, that won't be allowed to burn in the first place. They'll have to chip that, or they'll have to make smaller piles. Yeah, if it starts, we'll never know who started it. We have some residents here that are famous for that. And they had the big pile, I don't know how it started. Right, and there's really no way of proving if they started it and then walked away, and then all of a sudden it gets reported and now we show up. We do have some people that almost get on a yearly basis for wildland purposes. I've come very close to putting a moratorium of no burn on their properties because they just don't listen to us. Right, and they keep doing things that we've asked them not to do. And in 2023, I'll become more specific to that. We're able to turn people into Northwest Clean Air, and big fines happen from Northwest Clean Air. So if we have the documentation, we have the pictures and everything else, and we send it down, we have the correction notices that we've given to these landowners and they still are not listening to us, then Northwest Clean Air will start leveling thousands of dollars. And if they don't pay it, they put liens on their property. That usually changes tone for people once they have to pay out thousands. Right? Who has the dozers? Yeah. Yeah, so we have the capability, but it's going to be the time, right? And if they're not on vacation, if they're available, if we have one of our people that knows how to drive them, right? And we have access to the keys. Usually cat is one key, as far as I know. Cats are, you can take a key from one cat to the next, but do we have people that can safely operate those in a working fire wildland, fire situation when we've really never had the training?
Yeah, I was just thinking the contracts.
It's
Yeah, we don't have those, Commissioner. Yeah, we don't have that.
Maintain. In condition, otherwise they're using it in their own building or whatever. And just make it available in the area.
No. I wish we had your memory of your federal days, right? And all the contracts you guys had available, but usually municipalities and private districts, don't have that capability. DNR will send if they have it. They usually put crews here during the summer. They have 1 or 2 crews that are available in the county or the region. And but if somebody else is blowing up somewhere else, all the resources are going to be used.
These 18-person groups.
No, 6.
They usually stage 2, usually 2, type 6 is at station 12.
Yeah, down on Mount Baker Highway. Because we do get some wildlands up in the glacier area and stuff like that they go on. And South Whatcom gets it up into their mountains, their hills too. But we're very fortunate. I want to thank the public for helping keep us safe. But, if the public sees burning that is of concern to them, they need to call 911. I mean, I come here 2 days later and there's a message on my machine, saying, oh, so-and-so is burning. Well, it's they're not burning anymore. They're done burning all their trash. By that time, people need to learn how to use 911. It's not an inconvenience. It's how to get a hold of us, get it dispatched correctly, put it as an official record. The biggest fear is that the neighbor is going to know who called, right? But they can call and be anonymous to that. And we don't even know who calls most of the time. When somebody's reporting a burn that is of concern to them.
Old habits are hard to break.
Yeah, old habits. Because, back in the day, we didn't call 911 unless our leg was off. Our leg was amputated, then we might call 911. Otherwise, our parents put us in. Even my dad, as a doctor, he put me in the vehicle and drove me, to his clinic and stitched up my head, those types of things. Okay, so back to the basic budget. Does anybody have any other questions? Linda, Patty, did I miss anything?
Nope, you were very thorough.
So Linda, you good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so to put this in perspective, so my line item budget is $666,821 with all the divisions added up. That's a $28,000 increase over 2022 for the projected costs of doing business. That gives us a solid $1,078.16 to go into capital reserve if I would spend all of the 666,000. Now, obviously, we're going to have some back taxes that are brought in that do not become part of my budget. This is my budget. If for some reason, like we had to do with COVID, we had to transfer 20,000 out of capital reserves into a new line item because we just didn't have it. It wasn't projected, so we had to add that a couple of years ago. We can do that if we really get in a bind for some reason. We can transfer money from capital into our yearly budget, but that's a paperwork process, has to be reported to the county and everything else, and then for our audit purposes too. But my goal is to utilize what I have available to us unless, again, a huge item comes up that we need to discuss or change. So the final budget will look like this. If it is approved. Now we're not going to approve anything this meeting. This is just a preliminary budget preview. If you guys, we can send this out to you. You all can go over it as well. And if there's any changes or things that you guys would like to discuss in November, when this budget will be approved or not approved, then we can discuss those as well and make those changes as we move forwards. But this is something that Patty and I do on a yearly basis. And we project things the best we can, dependent on what we've spent the prior year. And now with the whole inflation issues, it's a challenge.
It's the way off question, but is there any possibility that the cost that we incurred for COVID is there any reimbursement for that?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that question. Right now, we're looking at in the realms of $30-some thousand that has been sent from the Department of Emergency Management at the state for all the COVID costs that I gave them. So I gave them all of our invoices for all the masks, gowns, anything that was COVID related. And they put all that together. Elizabeth did a tremendous amount of work for us. And it is now at the highest level of the state. And if they approve it, then it'll go to FEMA for reimbursement. Now FEMA can say, we're not going to reimburse this, and they can decrease it. But I'm hoping that we get somewhere close to $30,000 of reimbursement for the COVID expenditures that we've had over the last 2.5 years. We are looking at potentially getting reimbursed for our gurneys and the mounting systems that we currently have in our ambulances. There's a potential that I'll be getting reimbursed up to $39,000 as well from the county for COVID costs during the pandemic. And then our gurneys would be, there's all added together on the county side is maybe close to $80,000-$90,000 of reimbursement that could come back to this district for the costs that we've had to go out. And then the additional $30,000 from the feds for specific COVID reimbursements as well. So around 100,000, could come back into the district this coming up year. That would be able to be put back into reserve capacity. Yeah. So it's not guaranteed until I get the check.
Sure.
So I'll let you know if I get the check, and
It's nice that there's a thought about it.
yeah, I'll let you know if I can get the check, and we'll celebrate at the meeting if I get a check and give that over to Patty. But so this is going to be the final budget, depending on any changes between now or at the November meeting. So this is just summarizing up what we just went over, and this is what would be published to our taxpayers online. We publish all of our budgets since 2011 online on our website for them to compare. And it comes down to the final gap down here of the same amounts with 1,000 going into capital reserve. And again, we don't average in ambulance transports here too. We normally get 20 to anywhere for around 20,000, maybe plus a little bit a year from ambulance billing reimbursements from insurance company for transporting people to the hospital. We have a whole billing company that we go through for that. So anytime we transport somebody at this point, that may change in the future depending, but at this point, we'll bill insurance if they haven't. So we normally get about 20 grand in reimbursements. I probably write off an additional 5 grand, 5 to 6,000 or more for people that have shown their financial inability to pay. And they've been released by St. Joseph's. If St. Joseph's releases somebody monetarily from paying their bills, I usually follow suit with St. Joseph's because they have to show their bank records and everything else, their income, and they really have to prove that their income incapable of paying the ambulance transport fee. So what else? Chief Shields, you have anything to add? No? Okay, so that completes my budget preview for 2023. If nobody has anything to say to that, I will. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try to bring you guys to the forefront. And I'm really sorry if for some reason I mess up.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble.
It's much better than last year.
Okay, is everybody back now? Can you guys see?
Yes,
Okay, everybody can see the commissioners and everything?
yes.
Okay. All right. So that's really, if there's no other questions about the projected 2023 budget, then that would come back to you.
Thank you. That was very enlightening and well done.
Thank you.
We're going to go into an executive session, which will probably take us. What time is it? It's, 5 o'clock. We can probably. 20 minutes.
Okay, so I'm gonna mute our end over here and get rid of our video and keep this meeting running for now. And we'll be back in 20 minutes and go from there. So anybody have any questions before I do that? No, everybody's good?
Yep.
Thank you. We're back now. We're calling us the meeting at 5:42. Sorry, we were a bit longer than we anticipated, but it was a good thing. The consensus of the commissioners is that we will not take any action at this time. And we will revisit this at a later date. And the date will not be set today. Okay? And may I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Okay.
I second
And thank you so much for staying with us, both of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Linda. You're both great people.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very welcome. See you soon.